Tangled in Tuscany, Chapter 10, Bread, Olive Oil, and Something Like Peace. The morning after the fire, Sophia woke before the sun. Not because of dreams, and not because of anxiety, just peace. A kind she hadn't known in a long time. The sheets smelled faintly of lavender. The air was crisp, and the guesthouse was quiet, save for the gentle creak of olive branches tapping the window glass like a soft, knuckled knock. Luca was gone. But the blanket folded on the couch where he'd slept, and the empty mug still warm on the table, told her he'd stayed longer than she thought. That he hadn't rushed out at dawn like usual. She smiled as she ran her fingers across the indentation on the pillow where his head had rested. Then she got up and pulled on a sweatshirt, tied her hair, and padded barefoot into the morning. In the main kitchen, Alessia was already up, kneading dough like it owed her money and humming a half-forgotten melody that made Sophia smile. "There she is," Alessia said without looking up. The vineyard's reluctant heroine. Sophia winced as she leaned on the counter. "Please don't start with praise. I'm sore in places I didn't know had names." Alessia handed her a cup of dark roast. "You earned a quiet morning. Go sit outside. Eat something. Watch the light." Sophia took the cup and headed for the terrace, where the early gold of morning was already spreading across the stone like poured honey. She sat with her feet curled under her and let the silence settle over her. A few minutes later, the door creaked behind her. Luca. He held a small basket covered in linen. His sleeves were rolled, and a lock of hair had slipped onto his forehead in a way that made him look startlingly younger. "I brought food," he said. "To thank you." Again. Sophia raised an eyebrow. "You're bribing me with carbs now?" "Bribing implies I want something in return." She smirked. "Do you?" He didn't answer right away. Just sat beside her and set the basket between them. Inside, still warm focaccia, marinated olives, and a small ceramic dish of olive oil slick with crushed rosemary and garlic. "You made this." "I make bread when I can't sleep." Sophia reached for a slice. "That's either very romantic or very sad. Maybe both." They ate in silence for a while, dipping pieces of bread into the oil, letting the quiet do the heavy lifting. The birds were louder than either of them. Somewhere in the distance, Chiara shouted at someone about forgetting the harvest bins. It was peaceful, and, oddly, a little too perfect. Sophia cleared her throat. "Sal, is this the part where we pretend last night didn't happen?" Luca looked over. "No." She blinked. "Oh, I'm not pretending anymore," he said. "I'm just slow." She studied him. "Slow is fine." He nodded once, but not absent. It wasn't a declaration. Not a confession. But for him, it was everything. Sophia felt something warm and soft settle into her chest. Not fireworks, just kindling, the good kind. The rest of the day passed in a quiet rhythm. Sophia took photos of the partially scorched row for documentation. Some for the vineyard, some for herself. The contrast of char against green made for striking images. Luca was around, but not hovering. He passed her twice with a brush of fingertips against her shoulder, and once with a smirk when she caught him in a photo off guard. It was all easy. Too easy. That was when she started to worry. That evening, just before dinner, Chiara burst through the courtyard like she'd caught wind of a royal scandal. "You'll never believe who's back," she declared, fanning herself with a napkin. Sophia, sitting with her laptop beneath the fig tree, barely looked up. "If it's Nathan again, I swear I'll fake my own death." "Nope. Worse. Worse than the ex-fiancé." Chiara leaned in. "Viola." Sophia blinked. "Who?" Luca's voice answered from behind them. "My cousin." Sophia turned. Luca stood a few paces away, jaw tight, expression unreadable. Chiara chuckled. "You mean Viola D'Alessandro, goddess of the vines, first love of half the region, professional wine judge, and the woman who once told you that your palate was impressive for someone raised on dirt." Luca groaned. "Please stop talking." "She's here," Chiara sang. "And she brought luggage." Sophia arched a brow. "Let me guess. She just happened to be visiting the week before the international buyers arrive." More like she's hoping to secure a seat at the harvest table. Luca muttered. Sophia felt something unfamiliar twist in her chest. Not jealousy, not exactly, but unease. Is she staying in the house? Sophia asked. Apparently, Luca said. Alessia offered the guest wing. Great, Chiara said. 2 beautiful women on the property now. How will our brooding prince survive? I'm going to the bottling room, Luca said flatly, and walked off. Sophia turned to Chiara. Should I be worried? Chiara looked almost surprised by the question. About Viola. She hesitated. Luca and she, they never dated. No, but they were close once. Before she left for Bordeaux, she wanted to go big, he wanted to stay small. You know how that goes. Sophia nodded. She did. Too well. Chiara nudged her. But between us, he's different with you. She'll notice that. And it'll drive her crazy. Sophia forced a smile, but her mind was already running circles around what the next few days might bring. Because she could survive ex-fiancés. But she wasn't sure she was ready for women from Luca's past, who still had keys to his present. Sophia didn't go looking for Viola. She didn't have to. Viola found her, in the courtyard, just before dinner, as the golden hour wrapped the olive trees in a soft hush, and the estate buzzed with quiet preparation. A few vineyard workers moved crates near the bottling shed, and someone in the kitchen dropped a pan with a clatter, followed by a burst of laughing curses. Sophia had just finished framing a low-angle photo of the vine-covered pergola, when a voice, low and lilting, cut in from the edge of her awareness. If you're not careful, Tuscany will steal your heart. It's how it traps all the clever ones. Sophia turned and froze. Viola D'Alessandro was every bit as striking as the rumors. Tall, olive-skinned, with waves of raven black hair tucked beneath a flowing red scarf. Her posture was graceful, her eyes sharp, and her smile disarming. She wore confidence like perfume, light but unmistakable. She extended a hand, perfectly manicured, not aggressively, but with easy poise. You must be Sophia. Sophia stood slowly, dusting off her hands before shaking. You must be Viola. Viola tilted her head, amused. No one ever says that name without a note of suspicion. I suppose I've earned it. Sophia didn't answer. Relax, Viola said, her grip warm. I'm not here to compete. Or interfere. I just wanted to meet the woman Luca didn't want me to know about. That caught Sophia off guard. He said that. Not in words, Viola said, lips curving. But I know him. I know what he doesn't say more than what he does. There was no venom in her tone. Just clarity. Sophia narrowed her eyes slightly. Then you also know he doesn't let people in easily. Viola's gaze softened. And you got past the door. Sophia crossed her arms, curious now. Why are you really here? Viola looked past her, toward the horizon, where the sun had begun to set behind the distant cypress line. Word travels fast in wine circles, especially when a D'Alessandro vineyard so much as sneezes. I was passing through Rome. I'd heard about the fire. I wanted to make sure Alessia was okay. Luca too. Sophia didn't interrupt. And maybe, Viola added, I missed this place. The land, the air, the way the sky bends over the vines like it's protecting them. She looked back at Sophia. And yes, maybe I also wanted to see if time had changed things between me and Luca. But I can see now, it has. Just not in the way I thought. Sophia blinked. What does that mean? Viola smiled. Not smug, not sad, just sure. He looks at you differently. Sophia didn't know what to say. Viola continued. He used to look at this vineyard like it was the only thing that mattered. Now he looks at you the same way. Heat crept into Sophia's face. That's a lot to assume from one look. It wasn't just one. A beat passed. Then Viola stepped back, her smile widening. Don't worry. I'm not staying long. I have a vintage judging in Bordeaux next week. Just thought I'd drop in, rattle his rhythm, and say hello. Sophia raised an eyebrow. Mission accomplished. Viola laughed. I think you already did that. And with that, she turned and walked toward the house, scarf fluttering behind her like a slow red flame. Dinner that night was odd, not unpleasant, not tense, just charged. Viola sat beside Alessia, recounting stories of vineyards in the Loire Valley and tastings in Stellenbosch. She was animated and generous with her attention, including everyone. Matteo, Chiara, even the workers who filtered in and out. But Sophia noticed two things. First, Viola didn't once speak directly to Luca. And second, Luca didn't stop glancing at Sophia. Not obsessively, not possessively, just enough. Enough for her to feel it in her spine. She focused on her plate, occasionally joining the conversation, but mostly observing. Her ankle still throbbed faintly, though less than before, and she used it as an excuse to stay quiet. Chiara leaned in at one point and whispered, "You're being awfully quiet for someone who once insulted a man's wine vocabulary mid-date." Sophia smirked. That was in self-defense. He used robust 4 times in one sentence. "Still," Chiara said, eyeing her, "Viola doesn't bite. Unless you ask nicely." Sophia nearly choked on her wine. Across the table, Luca caught the moment and lifted one brow in question. She shook her head and looked away. But later, when the plates were cleared and everyone began drifting toward the kitchen or the courtyard for coffee, Sophia found herself alone with him by the sink. He washed, she dried. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Luca said, without looking at her, "I didn't know she was coming." Sophia didn't answer immediately. He handed her a plate. "We were close, Lentz," he added. But she left. Not cruelly, just clearly. Sophia folded a towel over the warm ceramic. "And now? She's not why I'm quiet. Then why are you?" He paused. "Because you're not." She blinked. "What does that mean?" "You don't play games. You just are." She turned to him slowly. His voice dropped lower. "And I don't want to ruin that by getting too much in my own head." Sophia studied his face. "Then don't." He looked at her then. Really looked. "That's the problem," he said. "You make me forget I don't know how to do this." She smiled. "You don't have to know. You just have to try." Another pause. Then he leaned closer. Not enough to kiss her, but enough to make her heart thrum. "Viola's past," he said. "But you're the question I haven't answered yet." And then he stepped back and left the kitchen. Sophia stood there, towel in hand, heart spinning, no kiss, no promise. Just another door unlocked, and this time left open.